What up, what up, what up, y'all? It's Soliel Lindsey. I'm the owner of Soul Rise Essentials, and you are watching another episode 14 to be exact, of Soul Seek Conversations. It is our wellness podcast. I'm going to do a little housekeeping real quick. Go ahead and share this video. If you're watching a replay, share this video as well. I see y'all coming on up in the room early. Okay, so who is Soul Rise Essentials? If this is your first time joining our Instagram or joining this live, we're also streaming on TikTok as well. So shout out to all of our friends over in TikTok land. Thank y'all for being here. Soul Rise Essentials, we offer unisex affirmation and mental wellness apparel for resilient humans on the grow. Those resilient humans do include your littles. Yes, so we make affirmation merch, jewelry, hats, t-shirts, all that stuff for children as well. So we are on a mission to empower you to thrive on your best days and in between. We like to share information and encouragement regarding global mental wellness, because if you got a brain, you got a brain in mental wellness and mental health to manage. So that is one of the reasons why we exist. But today, Soul Seek Conversations is one of the ways that we do that. That's how we promote mental wellness. That's how we share resilience stories. So that's what we're here to do today. Soul Seek Conversations exist to connect, create community, and to share new ways to thrive. So again, if y'all in the room, hey, how y'all doing? I sent out a text. You know, that was a new thing. So maybe that's why y'all got up in here early. I did send out a text today. So shout out to the Soul Tribe family. Again, if you're in the room, go ahead and share this. Y'all, go ahead and share this, okay? All right, so that's what we do. That's what Soul Seek Conversations is. We have a special guest today. She's actually part of the she's part of the Soul Tribe family. She is in Georgia, actually. So she's going to be joining us, sharing her story today. Just want to do a little couple housekeeping items, and then we're going to get started. So if you want to look at any past episodes or you want to see this episode on another platform, go to YouTube and follow us. We also have a giveaway going on right now. If you want some free stuff, some free affirmation merch from Soul Rise Essentials, go to our page once you're done watching this video. Go to our page, TikTok. Go check out all the contest rules. Not really a contest. Check out the giveaway rules so you can enter to win. Okay. What's going on, y'all? Hey, Auntie's Room. Let me do some shout outs to the Soul Tribe real quick. I see Melanie already in the building. Hey, Kanisha. Hey, Wilbur. Hey, Sindra. A second of self-care. D Tally. What's going on, y'all? DL Tally. The Auntie's Room. Hey, girl. What's up, JoJo? Hey, Teresa. I appreciate y'all. I have the best Soul Tribe family ever. Shout out to y'all. Okay. I talked about what we sell. We're located in Richmond, Virginia. I just want to make sure I get all my housekeeping stuff out the way, because when we get to talking, we're going to be talking, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. That's it. And that's all. All right. So also you can shop anytime at our website. Our website is spelled just the way that you see it above, soulriseessentials.com. If you sign up for our emails and our text messages, you will get 2 separate 15% off coupons. So go ahead and do that. Another reason you want to do that is because the holidays are coming up. You will get early access. You will get soul notes from me because I care about you. I care about how you doing. So I send you little things to keep you encouraged. I send you questions. Y'all get to vote a lot of the times on the new things that we come out with. So you definitely want to be part of the VIP Soul Tribe family. So go on and do that, but don't leave the live. Get another device or do it after we get off the live. Okay. If you're watching the replay, pause it and then go do that. But yes, we are going to do Black Friday this year. You will be able to get early access if you are on our text and our email list. Okay. Y'all heard that, TikTok? All right. You're welcome. What else? I think, if you have your own resilient story to share, I would love to hear from you. All you got to do is email us at mystory@soulriseessentials.com. Also, because we are about total wellness over here, okay? I've also created a playlist for y'all to listen to. Yes, it's music and it's giving good vibes. It's called the Soul Tribe Vibes playlist. You can go to Spotify, type in Soul Tribe Vibes, or you can just type in Soul Rise Essentials. And then also you can find it on YouTube as well. So just go. All of this is free. You know, only thing you got to pay for is the merch, but the vibes are free. The community is free. You don't have to pay for anything to get all of that, but I'm just letting y'all know it's good stuff over here. And some of it is free. The vibe is free. Okay. Also, I want to let y'all know that I'm not a professional because my guest Melanie that's joining me today, she is actually a professional in social work, in the mental wellness space. However, no professional advice is being given here. She off the clock, okay? She's just sharing her resilient story. I want y'all to be interactive. I want y'all to show her some love as y'all always do. Y'all always show our guests and our thrivers love. So do that, ask questions, all that jazz. But I just want to let y'all know that this is just for informational purposes, encouragement purposes. But, and listen, if you find something or hear something that resonates with you, look more into it. But I just want to let you know that we're not your therapist. I'm definitely not. I ain't got the credentials. Melanie does, but just got to put that out there. And also a trigger warning as well. Sensitive topics. Today we're going to be talking about loss and some other things that may make you a little uncomfortable or trigger. So we just want to be mindful of that. If you hear something that makes you uncomfortable, just click off, give yourself a break. Understandable. We still going to love you. Okay. All right. So without further ado, because y'all know I can talk, which is why I do this podcast. Let me bring in our guest, Melanie Anderson, to start off episode 14 today. All right, let me see. Can you send me a request to join? Hold on. Yeah, send me a request to join because I'm trying to figure it out and I don't want to mess nothing up. What's going on, y'all? Thanks for joining. All right, let me see. Invite to join. Here we go. How y'all feeling today? How's your mental health? How y'all doing? Somebody asked me that the other day, a gentleman. I was very attracted to that. I was like, I like that. I don't know where you learned it from or who taught you, but keep asking that question. That's a really good question. So y'all let me know in the comments, number 1, where you're watching from. Number 2, how are you? How is your mental health? You could do a sliding scale, a 1 to 10. You can give me a word, an adjective. It don't matter. Just let me know. Also, how's my connection, guys? Because I'm trying to bring her in, but nothing's happening. All is well. I love to read that. Thank you for sharing. The Black Mariposa. Did I say your name right? Hey, girl. Thanks for joining. Melanie, I'm ready for you. I'm going to invite you one more time. See what happens. I got somebody in RVA, Sindra, things are good. It says Renew Reflections is unable to join. So I'll let you send a request this time. I've sent one twice, but I don't want to mess anything up. Keep on letting me know where y'all watching from and how y'all doing. Here we go. We got the request this time. I'm about to bring you in right now. Accept. Thanks for holding us down over here at TikTok. All right, let's try one.
Oh, hang on.
There we go. We in business.
Let me flip it. There I am. I was trying to join from my computer, and I was like, I can't. So I had to get on my phone real quick.
It's all good. We figured it out. How you doing today?
Yes. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Got us representing.
Come on, represent for the whole time. Show them again. Show them again.
Yes. Let the people see.
Yes. And you have on your Soul Tribe one. What color is that? Gold?
Gold.
Gold. Mm-hmm. Okay. I love you for wearing that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So Two Tone Beauty in the comments that she's in RVA and she's feeling thankful and grateful. I love to hear it. Thank you for sharing that. So Melanie.
Yes, ma'am.
How is your mental health today?
It is really well today. Yes. I normally exercise in the morning. I did not do that, but I still got up, was very productive. So that helps me start, set the tone for a good day when I'm on task.
I love it. And you look joyful and you sound joyful too. I know sometimes a lot of people try to say that they're feeling one way, but you can read a little bit, be like, I don't know about that. But you look like you're feeling good. So that's good.
Yes. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. So tell me who you are and what you do. Tell the people, since the Soul Tribe is not familiar with you.
Okay. Well, I am Melanie Anderson. I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia on the east side. I am a therapist, a licensed clinical social worker, and I work as a therapist. I have my own practice, Renew Reflections, LLC. I've been doing this for about 13 years now.
Okay.
14. Yes, and I work with pretty much adults. I do see some teenagers now, which is fine, but I pretty much work with adults for individual therapy. So
do you have a specialized area type of therapy that you do?
I do some work around trauma. So I'm trained in it's a EMDR is
Yeah.
a therapy for trauma. So I'm trained in that. And my population that I tend to work with is women in caretaking roles, either professional or moms or people who are caring for their parents or whomever. So I do like to specialize. I mean, I do like to work specifically with women of color, who are in those roles, and just tend to forget about themselves because they're too busy taking care of everybody else. So yeah, that's why.
That's important. So you touched on it a little bit, but for folks that are watching that are not familiar, what is EMDR specifically, and what does it stand for?
EMDR stands for eye movement, oh gosh, reprocessing desensitization, and it's like, and that is where we use both of our sides. There's with eye movement or tapping, and I help the client to reprocess that trauma in different ways, so that whatever that belief that they held around that trauma, the brain basically heals itself. It's the coolest thing. I've had people say, like, is this magic? I'm like, no, it's just the brain healing itself. I love it. When I did the training, I was like, I'm all in. It really works. You don't really have to talk a lot about what happened to you as in some other trauma therapy. So I like that piece about it a lot. So yeah, it's been working. People love it. I love it. So
That's amazing. So I wanted to share that because I was not familiar with EMDR until about 2 years ago. A girl on my personal Facebook page was talking about it. I'm like, what is this? And I hear something that like piques my interest. I go look it up. So I went to go look it up. And then it's funny. I actually started working with like a homeopathic doctor some years back. And she mentioned it, but at the time I didn't have funds to like pursue all these different modalities she was suggesting. And I had a paper that after my appointment, I had wrote some notes on. I found it right after EMDR. And she actually had EMDR therapy on the paper as a treatment plan for me. So I thought it was interesting. It's funny how things come back up, you know, when they're supposed to come back up. And I know a lot of people may not know what EMDR therapy is because we hear therapy and we automatically think like psychotherapy, which is just talk therapy. But I'm fascinated and blown away all the time about by how many types of therapy options are out there.
Absolutely. So many.
Yeah.
So many treatments.
And like you said, that one is fascinating. I've done it before, and I didn't I didn't have to have that many sessions. It blew my mind. I was like, and like you said too, something also that was new for me. You know, I always tell people, you know, go to psychotherapy, things like that. But again, there are other healing modalities under the therapy umbrella. But like you said, with EMDR, you don't always have to talk about it. Because I used to always tell people, it's just talk therapy. You just talk it out, which is great. You know, you kind of like putting the different color yarns.
Yeah, there's a place for that too.
Huh?
I said, yeah, there's a place for that too.
Yeah, there's a place for that too. And I just, people that don't really want to talk about stuff and that have some really deep trauma and memories associated with the trauma, like I really highly recommend that because you don't have to talk about it. There's things that you have to do, uncomfortable, different things, but it's very effective and you don't always have to talk about what you've been through. So
I'm so glad that you found it beneficial.
I did. It was like you said, it was like magic. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, you know, so and I'll share a little bit more. It was a certain thought, like it literally would just, if I thought about it, it would ruin my whole day. I would be scared to like see certain things, drive to a certain place, and I could go back to that certain place that I couldn't drive to before, and I could just drive through like nothing happened because of that therapy. So
Wow, awesome.
So how long have you been a therapist?
Like I said, 13 years.
Renewed Reflections is a new therapy, your own private therapy practice, right?
My practice. Yep.
Okay. So I like to preface the conversation with that. I'm blown away by how many therapists have been on here. I think you're like the third or fourth one because I have had therapists in the past. I have one now, and I'm like, wonder what their story is. Like, what made you do this? Why are you helping people? Because it can be a lot, right? And you have a personal story that you wanted to share. And again, I talked about earlier, we're going to talk about grief and loss and things like that. You actually experienced about two years ago?
2 years ago. Yep.
The loss of your husband. So let's talk a little bit about that because you seem like you're doing okay, but I really want to hear more about that story. Okay.
Well, April 23rd, 2020, in the height of the pandemic, my husband left. He had gotten into a car accident maybe a few weeks before that. He was going to physical therapy. And so he was like, well, I'm going to physical therapy. I'll be back. Because remember, during the height of the pandemic, kids was home. My son was home waiting. And he was a teacher. So he would do all the education stuff. So he was like, I'll be back in time to get Blake is my son, get Blake set up for school. And so I'm working from home, so I'm doing therapy, telehealth or whatever. And and that was like 8:30. And he should have been an hour, should have been back by like 9:30. And so I'm like, texting, where you at? Where you at? And nothing, don't get anything. And I'm like, And sometimes he loved to go to all through the pandemic, like he was just going to Sam's. And I'm like, why? It's just the three of us. And so I said, well, maybe he went to Sam's. I'll give him a little time, whatever. But by 11 o'clock, I'm not hearing anything. Like, it was crazy. And I'm like, texting, calling, nothing. And so I'm seeing patients, and I'm like, but in the back of my head, I'm like,
right, yeah,
something's off. So I called by lunchtime. I called my boss. I said, I don't know where my husband is. I'm not working the rest of the day. I got to figure out what's going on. And I got in the car. Grabbed my son. Got in the car. I'm looking because I don't know. I couldn't even remember where the name of his physical therapy office was. I'm calling people like, you heard from there? You heard? Nobody's like, no, I heard from him today. And I went around. I drove around and I looked because I knew the area. And I GPS. I put in my GPS. I figured out what it was. Found it, but the GPS kept taking me a weird place. So I was like, I can't find it. Maybe he did go to Sam. Maybe he did go to BJ's. I think it was. I was gonna give, and BJ's was the complete opposite way. But something said no. Try again. And I went around and pulled up, found it. I found the thing, and I see my car there because he had my car that day, and so I took his, and I see my car sitting there, and I said. And my heart just dropped because I knew. And I pulled up. I couldn't see him at first, and I pulled up, and I got out the car. I told I already knew to call 911 before I got out of the car. Called 911 before I got out of the car, and I told my son he had this. Thank God for electronics. I know we say you don't, but that electronics I think really saved my son's mental health that day because he was super involved in that. Got out the car, I seen him leaned over. And then I can't remember. Basically, I ran inside and I screamed, they yelling at the receptionist, somebody come help me. You tell him my husband is, he's unresponsive. And so I'm on the phone with 911. But when I touch him, he was cold. Then I already knew he was gone. And so, of course, I'm hysterical. But it's a weird situation because I was like oscillating between hysteria and also calm because I had to keep going back checking on my son.
Yeah.
Remember, he was in the back seat the whole time.
And he's how old?
Now he is 10. He was 7, getting ready to turn 8 at the time. And so we went. So the ambulance comes. Of course, they say, yeah, no, he's nothing we can do. And I call a neighbor. She comes out to support me. I call my best friend who lives about an hour away, and she was like, she just dropped everything. I'm on the way. She came over. She crossed town, came, and so that was just to have that support in that moment. The people, the physical therapists that work there, they help because when my neighbor came, my son's best friend was her son. So the physical therapist took the kids, walked them around so they didn't see anything, and I just kept telling my son, they're just gonna figure out what's going on with Dad. I just didn't know what to tell them at the time.
Yeah. So
they went in there, distracted them. Long story short, they got the coroner. We had to wait for the coroner. They came, took them on, and another neighbor came, drive my car back, and I went home. But it was just a crazy time of April 23rd. I woke up a wife. I went to bed a widow, and just my life just upside, like no warning, no nothing. Like,
yeah. And you were married for how long?
We were married for 9.5 years. We were so excited because we were getting ready to celebrate our 10th anniversary on October 9th of that year. And but the pandemic, so we already knew, like, oh man, we were planning this trip, or we were like, oh, we probably going to stay home, but it was fine, But yeah, so we stopped. We were just short of 10 years.
Wow. So your son is 10 now. When y'all were going through all of this stuff and you found out what you found out, how did you eventually tell him what was going on? Because I feel like that would have probably been the hardest thing to do.
Absolutely.
How did you do that?
Hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
He went back to my neighbor's house, and I had some like some friends was, my friend was here, a couple neighbors here, and then eventually I said I gotta go tell him, so I went over there.
Was this the same day or?
Oh, same day.
Okay.
They lived just like literally across the street. And And so I went over there. But there are people by then, of some family friends were over here. So I didn't want to tell them in front of everybody. So we just got in the back of the car and I told him there. And he just, I mean, that was to this day, the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah.
Was just to see him. Because he was so close to his dad. You know, it wasn't like he was a hands-on father. It wasn't like he just worked and didn't come. Like, they did things together. They went places, you know. They were tight, you know.
Yeah.
And so he just said he wanted a moment. That's what you get when you have a therapist, Mom.
I know, right?
So he went upstairs and I gave him a moment. And and some of the friends, because the friends that were here, their daughters are adults now, but they lost their father at an early age. So they kind of went up there and talked to him. And it was just, you know, everybody was just, you just felt the love and the support. Like,
yeah.
You know,
yeah. It sounds like y'all had a lot of support.
We did. And I called my mom, and my mom was like, I'm on my way. She was here.
And where's your mom live? Because you're originally from New York, right?
Yeah, Rochester, New York. So they came from Rochester.
Yeah.
And eventually everybody moved here. So now they all live here.
Oh, wow.
But
you got a lot of support. That's a blessing.
It definitely is a blessing. It definitely
Huge.
is a blessing.
So you went to sleep, like you said, a wife. You woke up a widow and a single mom.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So first of all, before I get to that part, how is your son doing with all of this? It's only been 2 years, 2.5 years.
He's doing well. You know, I got him therapy. There's a support group for kids and families that have lost parents. So he's done some work with them. He definitely has his moments. There's times where I think people don't recognize. As a therapist, and I worked with kids for a long time. Used to work with kids prior to my therapy career, but I worked in the hospital with kids like with cancer and things. And so I did a lot of grief work with children even then. Yeah. So I understand how children grieve in spurts. People think children just supposed to cry like adults and be sad. Like, that's not how children grieve. So there are times when he'll lash out or he'll be angry or he'll just be crying. And I know that's really his grief. Because it's like, we used to do movie nights as a family, my husband and my son. And then when my family came, my brother and my mom, we do movie nights. And that was very much a big trigger for him. He did not want to do movie nights with them. That was something we did, me, him, and his dad. Yeah. But he was very angry. And I think sometimes they couldn't understand why he was so angry, but I understood. I said, just let him go.
And it's normal, like the 7 stages, and they go in cycles, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's not like you check them off and you're like, oh, all done. It's definitely not like that. Yeah. So just supporting him in that. But, you know, he's got a lot of support around us, a lot of good family and friends. And he's doing well. I will say that he's doing well. Yeah. He knows he's loved. He knows.
Yeah. Like when you said your family moved from New York to Georgia, I mean, that's huge. And again, I'm sorry for what you've experienced, but I also admire your transparency and your bravery, because you actually reached out and you wanted to share your own story. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, and again, the fact that you are a therapist really, you know, made me excited to share your perspective and your story, number one, because you have had some tools, and it doesn't mean that you're going to do everything right, you know, because you're still human. But I think, well, I'll ask you this instead of assuming, your background in therapy, do you think that's kind of helped you a little bit with your grief process?
Oh, absolutely. My background therapy and my faith in God.
Yes.
That's what, if it wasn't for first God, then therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be laid out somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, but definitely using those tools. I got my own therapy. I went to therapy because, you know, and being trained, you know, they tell you therapy, you know, get your own therapy. Don't be trying to work your stuff out with your clients.
Okay.
Like, do your own work.
Yeah.
So definitely got my own therapist who was great, who was super supportive.
And you don't do any grief therapy, do you? You're not a grief therapist.
I do work with grief. I mean, I think everybody has a general training in grief. Now, if people want some certain specific grief therapy, no, I don't necessarily do that. But I think I work through like supportive therapy, and if there's some irrational beliefs about the grief, then I can work with people in that. And helping them to let go of some of those and reframe some of those kind of thoughts. Like when they have that guilt and they blame themselves. And we kind of work around that. But I think my background is just knowing that it was nothing. I didn't really struggle personally with like, oh, what could I have done differently? Because I know it wasn't anything how could I have known? Like,
Yeah. And I was going to
we were
ask you
joking
that.
before he walked out the door. Like, we were laughing, like, ha.
Mm,
And then he left, and then he didn't come back.
right. I wonder, did you ever find out how long he was in front of the physical therapy office in the car?
Yeah, I figured it out because he was complaining of chest pain
Mm-hmm.
to the physical therapist. So they were going. He was supposed to come back, and so when he left, but he told them it was indigestion because he had like acid reflux. So they didn't think nothing of it. So when he went in the car, so that was like, so he was probably there for like, it was like 4 or 5 hours. He was in the car. Nobody
Wow.
knew.
So he had already gone through therapy, left.
No, he did.
Okay.
He went there and then he started getting the pains. And then they said, well, he said, let me go home and get my medicine. And they
Oh,
said, okay. They told him, okay, come back at 11:30. And then they said they were calling him, but of course he didn't answer. And the way that it was, so it was the pandemic, so it wasn't a lot of cars. I think everybody masked up just trying to get in. So I think nobody even looked to the side to even look. And if they did, they might have just thought he was sleeping.
yeah.
Um,
So that's another element too. All of this happened during the pandemic. How was that being isolated and literally you couldn't go anywhere because we all had to self quarantine? What was that like?
After the fact,
Yeah, after the fact. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, we kind of quarantined together. So once my family came here, because my family, they came here, they stayed for a few months. My mother went back to just kind of close up everything. My mother, my brother, and my sister kind of went back to shut everything down, and then they moved by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
That summer, but like we just kind of all kind of stayed together. So it wasn't like it was just me and my son. It was me, my son, my mom, my sister, my brother,
And
their dog.
I guess the reason I ask that too is because even with other people being around you, sometimes people like have something that they do. They go golfing or something like that. Want to get out the house, try to distract themselves, go for a walk. I'm sure you could go for a walk and do all that stuff too. But with the pandemic, in the early stages, a lot of that stuff was closed. Like I think a lot of us were really just forced to sit with ourselves. There weren't any other distractions and places we could really go because at the height of the pandemic, everywhere was closed unless it was a grocery store.
Yeah, no, we did a lot of walking outside. We went to a lot of parks, climbed. I'm close to Stone Mountain, New Georgia, so we walked up Stone Mountain. It was just about getting out, like just getting outdoors and just, like you said, not. There were times when I sat alone with my thoughts because one of the things, actually, when my mother went back to New York, my family went back, they took my son for that time, and so I did have that moment to just be which I needed.
Yeah.
To be by myself.
Yeah.
And just kind of go through my own process.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, even with having the physical support of your family now, what is that transition like being a single mom? Because people hear that word single mom and they automatically assume the worst for whatever reason. But that worst, whatever that scenario is, people can make up wasn't your situation. You had a loving husband. Your son had a loving dad. So now you don't have that just with the blink of an eye. So what has that been like?
Yeah, they're in the grief. I'm in this widows group, and they call themselves solo parents or whatever.
Solo parents. Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I get it, but at the end of the day, I am a single mom. Like, so it has been. Yeah, it's like you put whatever name on it you want.
Right.
It's just. That has been an adjustment, just because my husband and I played different roles with my son. Like, I was more I'm definitely still a nurturer, and I had, I'm very structured anyway. So I created the systems and the things that work for him. And my husband kind of did the education stuff. Like doing school at home was horrible. Like my husband could teach him how to do something just like that. He'd pick it up just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching him, like, I'm one of those parents, like, just saying it louder. What is it? Don't you get it? And just really, and just realizing that that's not my strong suit.
Yeah, Johnny had 3 apples, okay?
Yeah.
Took one away. How many he got left?
Right. He like, third grade, because he did third grade at home. That following third grade, that was horrible. But but yeah, just getting used to that, and just stuff that we just used to do, just get up and go to a restaurant. Like I said, movie night. Like we weren't like super, we just did stuff. Like, and it just was very different to not have that, or him and my son just get up and go. My husband had a DJ business, so he, was teaching him how to DJ and just different things like that, showing him how to. He had actually a whole production kind of stuff, so he was teaching my son because that was his thing. He wanted him to pass the business on to him. And so just adjusting to kind of. I mean, the reality is, I as a mom kind of, moms tend to do a lot of the day to day, so that part wasn't necessarily an adjustment,
yeah.
but the other stuff, the when you go to dad for stuff, like go with your dad, and it wasn't a big deal. Stay home with your dad. He loved it, and I could just go. And my son became very clingy after his dad died, so it was very hard. He was very anxious afterwards. So just even going a little, like, Mom, where you going? And he has like this fear. I don't want you to die. So like,
he says that. He said that.
He said that. Yeah. And I had to go to training last summer, 2020. Yeah. And he called me I was like, I'm going to eat dinner now. And he'd be like, okay. He called me an hour later. Well, you should be done now. So where? And like, he was just, but he was just very, he said that. I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
And it's very sad that his innocence got taken away to know that your parent really can die.
Exactly.
And just having to have to see that reality at a young age like that.
Right, exactly. So I also wanted to ask you, since we're talking about your husband, and to honor him, like on a I don't want to say positive because this is real life. It is what it is, right? What is something that you miss most about him, and something that you want to kind of carry on and remember about him and his spirit?
Oh gosh, he was just a lot of fun. We laugh. We always share memories with him. He was a great businessman, and I like me starting my business and marketing, and he was great at that. And I'm like, dang it! Like he built websites. And anybody like, oh, you need a website? I'll optimize. Like he knew how to do all that.
Come on, optimization.
Yeah, and I only know the words because he used to say it.
Wow.
And and I'm learning, and I'm like, dang it! Why couldn't? And he would stay, like, Melanie, you should start your own practice. I'm like, no, you should. And so that's why I did it. And actually, his DJ name was Glass D. So part of the Renew Reflection was his DJ name. And so Reflection is almost it's a honor way to honor him, the Glass D part. So Renew Reflections. The Reflections part is in honor of him.
I love that. I'm gonna read some of these comments. So Chef Hedden says, sorry for your loss and thank you for your transparency. The Auntie's Room said, thank you for your transparency. Sorry for your loss. Pink Hayes 1908 said, I love hearing you talk about him.
And that's Derek's sister.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for being here with us. I love hearing her talk about him too. And that's why I wanted to ask that question. It's really sad that he's not here, but I also really wanted to hear you honor him and what things that you love and you miss about him,
Just allow, we just laugh. I mean, we just had laugh, we joke. I remember he was like, one of our biggest arguments, he took the wrong yogurt and just stupid stuff. We would laugh, and I called him like, y'all had my mouth twisted up and get my yogurt, you took it. And he would just tell people, like, that's all we are, which was true. Like we didn't really argue like that. Like our marriage, I mean, we weren't perfect. We did have arguments. We had times where he got on my nerves, I got on his.
Yeah.
But it was like the three of us, we just figured out how to we had our own little system in the way we operated.
Yeah.
It's just been an adjustment to adjust to, in some ways, the two of us, but then also my extended family who's here, that before they weren't, like they were all in New York. I had a cousin move here too and her family. So it's nice having them. It's bittersweet. Like I have my family, but I don't have my husband.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also wanted to ask you this. So what are some things that you have done to kind of get you through what you've had to experience? Because I know there's still some triggers, some things you may hear on the radio or a song or something that some yogurt, may remind you of him. So I really want to know, what have you done to kind of carry you through this process? Because there's somebody else probably watching that's going through the same thing, will go through the same thing, and just curious, like what things can they consider, or what did you do for your journey?
I like I said, definitely went to therapy. hurried up and made a therapy appointment. I allow myself to feel my feelings, and I'm not one to necessarily grieve in front or cry in front of other people. Just always been that way. So that month, I literally cried every day. There's times at the beginning where I would cry and then wipe my eyes and get on session. But I allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel. Take breaks. A couple days I was like, this not gonna work today. I will call out. I just had to take care of myself. I just have to take care of myself. And now exercise, connecting with friends, like my friends, I have 3 really great, actually more than that, but I have really close friends that really just checked in on me. My husband was part of a fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Incorporated. Oh, it's their Founders Day.
It
Happy
is their
Founders
Founders
Day.
Day. Look at that.
If anybody watching. So his frat brothers are still, like, we just did a rate. They do an annual 5K, so we run in honor of Derek every year.
Oh, that's beautiful.
For their 5K. So they're still checking in and just touching base. Any resources they have, they'll, come in, So it's just having those people there to just know that they have my back. They have my son's back.
Absolutely.
And just talking about them, like, we always laugh, we talk, we share memories. Like, I don't like people like, oh, I don't know if we should talk. No, talk about him. He was very much. I'm an introvert naturally. He was very much an extrovert. Mm-hmm. So you met Derek, you knew Derek. And his big mouth, you was gonna hear.
Yeah.
So let's talk about him. So we shared, we laughed. Me and Blake, my son will share memories or what would your dad say if he was here? Whatever, And so we just.
That's beautiful.
We just keep it. We don't want to forget him. We just keep his memory alive.
Absolutely. So your situations and your stories are different, but I wanted to ask you, have you watched the series on Netflix called From Scratch?
No.
Oh my God. You have to watch it. I don't want to spoil it. I'm sad that you said no, because I wanted to ask you some questions.
No, I didn't see it.
You got to watch it. I don't even watch TV. I'm not a big Netflix person either, but my mom's like, you got to watch this because she knows the kind of stuff that I would enjoy. Let me tell you, I watched that series in one day. It's 8 episodes, and I just was glued to my couch. But it is so beautiful. Hopefully it's not triggering to you, but it was so beautiful because it is a story of loss, and it's actually a true story. I was so invested in this thing that I went and I found the lady whose story it was. I found her on Instagram. I've been so invested, okay? But I wanted to bring that up because I'll just share a little bit. I don't want to give it away too much, but she found ways to like honor her husband, and it was beautiful. And it just reminded me of kind of what you were saying just now, like, you're gonna have your days, but you have so much family and support. And that was really one of the aside from the loss and the beauty of the things that happened before and after the loss in that movie, family was like a running theme in that movie. Support, like what I got from that is that we can get through just about anything with community, with love, and with support. Like love never, ever, ever dies. The fact that we're doing this interview today and it's on your husband's Founders Day, I don't think that was an accident. That's so cool. We didn't know that.
I didn't realize it.
Yeah, so he's here and he approves, okay? I love that. And I think he's happy that you're talking about him. I'm feeling like all the feels hearing you talk about him. It's kind of like you said, it's a mix of emotions. It's somber. I wish you still had your husband. But hearing you talk about him kind of just lit me up a little bit. So I wanted to share that with you. And I also want you to watch From Scratch. And like I said, hopefully it's something that you can sit down and really enjoy. But hearing your story and getting the message that I got from that series, again, I want to say this to everybody watching, like we're going to go through a lot. It's going to be some tumultuous times in life, but if you surround yourself, whether it's your God-given family or your created family, if you have them, whether it's physical, emotional support, I think you can get through just about anything. I'm not going to say this will be easy, but hearing her story kind of solidified that once again for me. Your family went over and beyond. They moved states away. From the north to the south, a completely different everything, weather. That's what family is all about. So shout out to your family just for being amazing. And I also wanted to read more comments as well. So Chef Hedden says, it sounds like you had such a beautiful marriage. Let me see. And she says, I love hearing you say that you allowed yourself to feel. Pink Hayes says, you're so strong, sis. Very admirable. Chef Hedden says, do you think allowing yourself to feel made the grieving process a little easier?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And just knowing that when you hold any emotion in, if you don't allow it to release, it's going to come out some other way. And I didn't want other medical problems. I didn't want to start getting migraines. I didn't want to start having stomach issues. So I knew that I have to, in order, everybody wants to skip grief and just come to the acceptance place and like, get to this place, be like, oh, it was a good. but you have to. It's no fast track to that. You have to feel. It's not fun at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had to do it, if I didn't have to, I wouldn't. But I know it's definitely necessary to feel my feelings. And, I journaled a lot through this process. I did do a lot of journaling. I don't know if I said that, but I did. And that was very helpful. Just allow myself to release, to get those thoughts out, to process. And yeah, it definitely was imperative.
I want to
in
put
this
a pin
process.
in that for a second, because you said something that I don't think a lot of people realize. You said that if you don't get that stuff out, it's going to manifest in other ways in your body. And I don't think enough people realize that. It can be sickness, like you said, it can be a host of things, right? Mental illness, all of that. So can you talk a little bit more about that from a therapist point of view?
Yes, a lot of times when people hold things in, I tell people it'll come out in some other ways. A lot of times, that's why people have panic attacks.
Mm.
Migraines, high blood pressure. That's what stress is, a silent killer. Just so you know, my husband did have high blood pressure, and ultimately what killed him was a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
Basically, and the pressure from the high blood pressure. So Black people, please take care of yourself. And stress does not help with your, like your mom used to joke, making my pressure high. No, the stress does really, it impacts, it tightens your vessels. It's just not healthy. And I think I'm always been big on redefining strength. And we teach ourselves, oh, just keep going, put a smile on. And not to say I don't do that, I haven't done that. I'm not gonna act like I didn't or don't. But I also know that in those moments when I can, I release.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to somebody, or I talk to my therapist, or friend, whatever. Because you have to. It will come out. Like, it's gonna come out one way or the other.
Yeah.
So you can hold it in. And I see so many people that struggle with migraines, that struggle with gas, stomach issues, that struggle with chronic pain, that their stress makes it worse. So many things you don't even realize are connected.
Yes.
So we have to take care of ourselves in that
Absolutely.
way. The mind and body is connected.
Absolutely. Are there any things that you've changed since you know that your husband had a heart attack and dealt with high blood pressure? Have there been any changes that you made or that you needed to make since that happened?
No, I was pretty weak. Growing, I personally have pretty low blood pressure. So it's like my doctor's like, well, I'd rather be low than high. And growing up, it was funny. My mother didn't cook with salt, so like she seasoned her food, like she used a lot of herbs and different spices, so it was good.
Absolutely.
But we would like go to Burger King and get salt packets. You could like put on fries and stuff. But so I wasn't a big salt per se user anyway. Like we used a lot of, like, even Derek, he would like use Mrs. Dash and stuff, so we use spice. So we didn't to keep your sodium down.
Mm-hmm.
So but I do encourage, like, especially my son, I kind of working to educate him, like, you have a family history of this, so you have to be mindful of what you eat. And I mean, my son is super active, loves soccer, plays all the time, and super skinny. But I still tell him, because still skinny people can have high blood pressure too.
Absolutely.
So we talk a lot about like eating healthy and working to. Some weeks are better than others.
Absolutely. Look, with the week we all about to have next week, let's talk about that. Yes. With the holidays, how have the holidays been for y'all?
Again, because 2020 it was just us.
Yeah.
Last year, my aunts came down, and we hadn't had that big a Thanksgiving in this house, the house that I'm living in, ever. We have it was just very nice for my whole family, like most of my family. I had a friend and her mom come, so it was just a very nice, huge Thanksgiving. And all we missed, his presence was missed, because my husband's from New Orleans as well.
Oh, so that accent.
Yeah. Right. And so, and the jambalaya, I miss his jambalaya.
Yes.
He would make jambalaya every, Thanksgiving. So that, just thinking about him then. But again, just being surrounded by love and family, and just laughing, and it reminds me of my childhood. And I am grateful that my son gets to grow up around his cousins and his grandmother, and his aunts and uncle, because otherwise we would see him maybe once, maybe twice a year if we're lucky. So just for him to nurture those relationships with his side, my side of the family, has been benefit. We've just enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But Are they hard? Yes. There are moments where we, pull to the side, and the support group, we tend to go to the holiday. They usually do something for the holidays for families, and we go and we honor
That's
Derek.
nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pink Hayes also says, same here. I just happened to be off today and was able to catch this live. Not a coincidence. I love
Yeah.
that. So happy that you are here. Kanisha says, how do you let yourself feel with your son around, or if you are triggered in a public place, how would you handle that?
I don't have a problem crying in front of my son. I think we have to normalize that grief is normal, and we have cried together.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if he's having a hard day and we know it's about his dad.
Yeah.
We'll cry together and we'll have our moment together. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important because you teach kids like, hey, and especially boys. I think it's okay to teach boys that it's okay to cry. Like you've had a trauma. This was a trauma, and it's okay to have feelings about that and express those feelings.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make you weak. So and mommy's okay. Like I can cry and still know that we still got lights on. We still got a house, because he would have crazy worries about being homeless. And I'm like,
yeah,
you do my work. You do, like, you've never been homeless. Like we've always had so that's kind of went away. But, so he's known that mom can still take care of him, and he has people that love and take care of him. So, and if I think in public, it's not happened too much. Maybe in my car, but not necessarily in public.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just, cry in my car. So
yeah. It seems like you
fall,
Huh?
I said I'll let the tears fall, and just have that moment. Or if I hold it, like if it's somewhere where I just feel like I don't feel safe to express myself, then I'll go home and journal about it.
Mm-hmm. So how do you, I know that because you have a client coming up, so I'm not going to hold you too long, but I wanted to ask you, in between appointments, like I know you said some days you just woke up and you like, look, this is not going to work out. I cannot go to work today, right? In between appointments, grief aside, I would love to know this because I'm just nosy like that. In between your appointments as a therapist, things happen, right? I was doing something on video for my business, and I had to pause because I got a call from my son's school. My son is 3 years old. I didn't know what's going on at all times. So I answered the phone.
Yes.
I was like, I gotta, and what they told me on the phone completely threw me off, right? I had the option to say, you know what, I'm gonna shut down shop for the rest of the day and keep it moving. I had that option, but I actually didn't. I was like, let me push through this and get it done so I don't have to do it again. And then, I'll prioritize. My son is always a priority, but you know what I'm trying to say. As a therapist, like how do you move through your appointments? Because that's a lot. And I know some therapists have some like back to back, and what you're hearing may be very heavy, and you processing that stuff with them. How do y'all do that? And what does that process look like in between appointments?
Well, the benefit of working from home now, mostly. So I work from home. I do have a full-time job, and then I have my private practice as well. My private practice is always at home, and then I do my full-time job. I go into the office once a week, but for the most part, I'm home.
Okay.
And so it's very nice to be able to, like, I'm a big proponent of like taking breaks, like lunch break, like my lunch break, stuff like that. If I can work it to where my clients didn't one hit and the other one start, I will get up, stretch. If I'm home, like I just threw some laundry in before I came here to see you.
Same.
Like
I had to turn it off because it was being too loud for them.
I go do some laundry. I might, I might get on social media, scroll just to do something kind of mindless for a minute, just to reset myself. Like lunch break, like at working from home. Now I catch up on. Now I'll watch the Netflix show you told me about. Yeah. But so like I catch up on shows. I just have to take some time to just separate myself from it, because I think people think therapists go home and just be thinking about everybody, and if you are, that's really not really healthy boundaries, because that means it's consuming me outside of my work, and I still have to show up for other people in my life, and not show up for me. So I'm really good about that, like leaving it in that session. Don't get me wrong, there's sometimes where people have shared some stuff and like, ooh, like that's a lot. And like I said, I'm good about I'll watch TV, I'll go for walks, I'll call a friend to just distract, I'll debrief with another therapist, just be like, so, a lot of times as therapists, like I kind of debrief with them and just kind of
Yeah.
process
And the
everything.
reason I ask that too is because I'm a dreamer. I have dreams, and I know I be dreaming about crazy stuff. And I already know if I heard stuff like all day that was just, it's something you think you forgot about, and then in some in the back of your mind got you dreaming about it at night. So I was just curious, what?
No, I will say that if I dream about work, that's usually my sign that I need to take some time off. And it's usually just work in general, not necessarily about somebody's stuff, but just if I'm dreaming about work, if I'm dreaming about, I'm like, what, I need to take a day. I mean,
I'm glad you told me that.
Like,
thank you.
That's usually my sign to be like,
yeah.
I got to find some vacation. I got to put in a mental health day or two.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my sign for that.
So is there anything that you would share to anybody that is grieving right now? I'm actually grieving right now, some secondary trauma. I'm from Georgia myself, and literally like 3 people back to back that were very prominent in my childhood. I thought I was dealing with it, and then it just kind of snuck up on me one day, and I'm like, oh, like I was thinking about them yesterday, just randomly. So back to back, 3 different people. So is there anything that you would say to people like me, having just lost family members, whether it's back to back, one person, a widow, whoever? Do you have any words for us?
Feel your feelings. I mean, grief comes in waves. And I didn't realize that, when you learn about grief, you just think, and I knew it wasn't linear. I knew it wasn't like sad, depression, then anger. I knew it wasn't that, but I just thought, I didn't realize how some days you'll be fine, and the other days, and then some days, and then one day the stretch gets longer, and then a song, a smell, just random thought, and it hits you again. And so that grief is ongoing. People, there's this thing, oh, you're not over, it's 2 years. It's not about getting over. I will never get over this. But you will never get over grief. It's about how you move through, and I like to say create your new normal. Mm-hmm. But it's not about getting over or moving past. Because that gives the connotation that we just pretend like that person didn't exist. And
yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel your feelings, use your support. If you have people, talk, journal, get your own therapist if you need it. Grief is a part of life because death is
inevitable.
Right. So we have to remember, even though, especially with somebody so young as my husband, when you lose people at younger ages, it's really hard to understand sometimes, or why is this like this?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily get caught up in the why, because I don't know that I'll ever know that. But I'm thankful and I'm grateful. And I think that really helped me a lot too. I just felt I really practiced gratitude through all this, because I was always grateful. I said, I'm thankful for the time I did have with them. I'm thankful that we were able to have a child, because I did struggle with some infertility. Mm. So the fact that we had a baby, and I have my son, that remind who he looks like his dad with his glasses on, that people say in his high top. But when you take him off, he looks like me, but he acts like his dad. Okay. So I'm grateful that he has those behaviors. And sometimes those behaviors can annoy other people, but I don't mind it, because it reminds me of his dad. Because his dad just didn't have a filter. Mm. So sometimes my son don't have a filter. I'm like, but then I'm like, oh. So it's like a
Catch-22.
Yeah. So just gratitude is another thing. I'm just grateful for the time I had with them. I'm grateful for our marriage. I'm grateful for the son we had. I'm grateful for just spending we were together 13 years. I'm thankful for the 13 years we were together. And that helped a lot. Even as I'm crying, the tears were coming. But I think gratitude really helped me to kind of shift my focus. Mm-hmm. And so that, for me, helped me to be resilient.
Yes, honey. Thank you for sharing your story.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being a thriver and for being a part of the Soul Tribe. I started this business for people like you, for people like me. We're going to go through some things. Like you said, grief is natural. Death is natural. Are things that we're going to go through, the obstacles. I'm not going to say that's natural, but we're going to go through some things. We don't know why all the time, but this community is to show support and to show encouragement, just camaraderie and solidarity, all those words, because we can talk about these things and we can heal and we can move through and process together. Because like we've stated before, with a community, whether it's God-given family or a tribe that you created, it's essential. It truly is. There's actually studies about having community and how it helps you heal and how it helps you feel better. It's just good for your general wellness. So I'm thankful because I don't know you. We met on Instagram, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, I think we met at there was another live that I was doing, I think, that you saw. Yeah. So I'm just grateful that God brought us together and that you're still here. I know you're going to have some days. I'm going to have some days. We all going to have some days, but we in this thing together. So thank you for purchasing a Soul Tribe necklace, for wearing it, for being in solidarity with everybody else that has a Soul Tribe necklace. And again, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for your support, the comments, and
Kanisha said thank you for sharing.
Shout out to my sister, Miss April, for supporting me today.
She said this.
So yeah, I'm just thankful. Thank you, Soliel, so much for having me. I just appreciate this opportunity. It's my first time really fully share my story with everyone. So I'm just appreciative of this platform and all that you do. So just thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm grateful for that too. You have an amazing day. Is there anything else that you want to say? Anything you want to promote? Let us know before you leave the Soul Seats.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. Renew Reflections LLC is my business handle. On Facebook, I'm at Renew Reflections, and on TikTok, it's Melanie Anderson LCSW. And I'll be having later today, I'll be posting about just a free tip sheet for caretakers to deal with caretaker stress, especially around the holidays. So I came up with that. So I'll be posting that link on my Facebook and Instagram. So definitely follow me and you can get that free tip sheet to kind of help make sure you're focusing on your own self-care.
Yes. And actually one of our Soul Tribe family members that's watching, she's a caretaker. So I know she's going to appreciate that. So thank you for sharing that resource. And I hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes, but I just want to say thank you again.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Y'all, another episode down in the books. This was episode 14. That was Melanie Anderson with her company Renew Reflections LLC, her private practice that she started in Georgia. Y'all go check her out if you're in the Georgia area. I can't endorse anybody, but y'all heard her story, right? And that's powerful. She's been able to move through some things. She's been able to use her credentials and her family and God to get through everything she's gone through. And that's just a beautiful thing. If I was looking for a therapist in Georgia, that would inspire me. So thank you again, Melanie. Thank you. Shout out to the Soul Tribe for being here. Y'all are amazing. What's up, JoJo? You're absolutely welcome. Again, we are doing Black Friday, so sign up for our emails and our texts to never miss an update and to also get early access. Y'all, if you watch this all the way to the end and you're watching the replay, drop a sunshine emoji down at the bottom. Also share this. This will also be found on our IGTV. You can also find it on our YouTube channel. Go subscribe. We're actually streaming live. Say hey, y'all, on another device on TikTok as well. So y'all follow us over there. And I'll see you next month for episode 15. Have a great holiday. I'm thankful for y'all. Always stay well, be well. This has been episode 14 of Soul Seat Conversations, a wellness podcast. Peace, y'all. Stay well, be well.